Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of JavaScript tutorial, and in this episode we will do a simple example and I am going to show you what this is all about. So yeah, I suggest you go on and create a folder in VS Code or whatever editing text editing software you are using, and create the index HTML file, the style.css and index.js file. In case you don't know HTML and CSS yet, you should study those and get at least an intermediate knowledge of them, and after that you can go on and continue on with JavaScript. Anyways, let's get going. So JavaScript is the world's most popular programming language, and it's the programming language of the web. It's relatively easy to learn, and in this tutorial we'll go from basic to advanced slowly per episode, and I'm gonna show you examples in every single one. So first of all, I am going to type in an exclamation mark and press tab, and Visual Studio Code will generate the HTML that we need. I'm gonna name the title JS episode 1. There we go. And then let's open this, and I am also going to be making, let's create a button. So I'm gonna show you the first JavaScript code that we will create. So let's create a button with the attribute type, which will be a button, and then a special attribute on click. And this is going to be for JavaScript code, and I'm gonna say click here to display time. There we go. And I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna make a couple of new lines, and I'm gonna write in document dot get element by ID, and we're gonna create a paragraph underneath here. So paragraph with the ID of example, and we're gonna leave it empty, and I'm gonna type in here example, and there we go, and make sure to enclose it with brackets and use these quotes or single quotes, and I'm gonna use single quotes. Alright, and then we're gonna type dot inner HTML equals date. Alright, so now when we click this button, it's going to show the time. So let's click it. Friday, September 20th, 2024, and there we go. So this is our first line of JavaScript that we wrote. We should also add a heading, H1, and JavaScript introduction. Okay, so now you guys can see that we have a button that actually does something. So yeah, and I'm gonna make a new line over there just to make the code a little bit more readable. Alright, so this is JavaScript, and JavaScript is one of the three languages that all web developers must learn. HTML is the language we use to define the content of web pages. CSS specifies the layout and styling of web pages, and JavaScript makes the website interactive. So, JavaScript can change HTML content like we did right over here. This paragraph is empty, but because we put it inside of the buttons on click attribute, when we click the button, it will get the example ID by document.getElementById and access the inner HTML of that and create a date object. And there we go, we have it right over there. Alright, so JavaScript can change HTML content, and one of many HTML methods is getElementById. We also have many others, and this is called DOM manipulation, document object model. So the document object model is basically everything you see on a web page. We can also create a different type of button. This time the button will be saying type button, and on click it's going to be document.getElementById, and we'll take the example once again and go to the inner HTML and let's make it equal to the string hello JavaScript and a semicolon at the end. Alright, and this one should be right over there. And we gotta add some text here, but not like that, like this, and we can say click me. Alright, and when we click this button, it's gonna show us the text hello JavaScript. So on a click we get the element by ID, which is this one, example, and change the inner HTML of the element to be the string hello JavaScript. Okay. And JavaScript allows both single and double quotes, but the reason I am using single quotes over here is because I'm using double quotes around this onClick attribute. So if I was to use the same quotes, it isn't necessarily going to work. Yeah, so we gotta use single quotes, or you can do the other way around. You can use double quotes on these and single quotes on the outside over here. Alright, so now we have a button that creates a paragraph. The paragraph already exists, but there's no content inside. And then I'm going to remove these lines and I'm gonna tell you where to input JavaScript code. So the first way is to put it inside of a button or whatever element you would like, and use, for example, the onClick attribute, and you can write some JavaScript. The other one is using a script tag, and inside of here we can do the same. For example, button and the button will have an ID of button1, and it will say click me. And then in the script we will do document.get element by ID button1 dot inner HTML equals you clicked me. And there we go. And it will automatically run that. So I'm gonna make an onClick attribute and make it to, let's say, my function 1 and brackets. And let's enclose this in a function, my function 1, and then curly brackets, and let's get this code inside of here. Alright, so when I click this button now, it will take the function, my function 1, right over here, and take the document, the get element by ID, button1, and change the inner HTML content of that into this string. So let's do it. You can see it happens. You clicked me. So it changes from click me to you clicked me. We are gonna be talking about functions in the future more, but functions are basically reusable code that can be used in the future many times. So that's functions. Functions are a block of reusable code, and you can use the functions later on. And you can invoke the function by writing in the function's name, use 2 brackets and a semicolon. But we'll get more into detail with that later on. There's another way to type JavaScript as well, and this is the one I prefer. It's to use a script tag, then type in a src attribute, a source attribute, and it's gonna be index.js. This is a relative file path. It's right next to my HTML file. So right now I can go inside of this file and create the function, my function 1, then brackets and curly brackets, and I can say document.get element by ID. Let's take the element with the ID of example. We're gonna create that. So paragraph ID example, we'll leave it empty, and we will change the inner HTML to be this is external JavaScript and a semicolon. So when we click, it will say this is external JavaScript. Alright, so basically there's 3 ways. You can write it over here inline, or you can write it inside of a script tag, or you can use an external file like I'm doing right now. This is the simplest way because it keeps your code clean and you don't mix up many different programming languages in one file. This is similar to CSS, where you basically do the same thing. So we usually put the CSS in a separate file just to make the code look cleaner. Second thing to note is that you want to at least put its script tag at the bottom of your body element, because there might be something wrong with your script. But before you run any JavaScript, you at least want the page to load, and after that you want to run the JavaScript. So if you put this to the top and there's some issues with it, then basically the script is going to run immediately and the HTML will have no time to render in, and so the best practice is to put it at the bottom, so at least the HTML will show up first. Also, I am going to link the style sheet here, so link relation style sheet, and href is style.css. So we linked in this style sheet right over here. Okay. So the advantages of using external JavaScript are that it separates HTML and code, it makes HTML and JavaScript easier to read and maintain, and cached JavaScript files can speed up page loads, and you can even add several script files to one page by using many script tags and creating more of these files, but they need to have a different name, of course. So yeah, that is an introduction to JavaScript, and in the next episode we will use some other ways of typing JavaScript, and I'm gonna show you some features that are going to be very useful. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode. I hope you learned something new, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.